Hey guys, welcome back to Digital Sniper. Today I want to make a short video about the story behind this iconic set. Now I found two articles which I found was pretty interesting. Now the first one I want to talk about is actually this photo here, and this can be found um, in this Topps magazine here, and this is the 1991 summer issue. And basically, this photo was sent in by Kathy Davidson, who was a photographer of that time. Now, let me read you what it says. It says that another GI who saw the Desert Shield cards was Topps photographer Kathy Davidson. She's a nurse in the evac reserve that unit that served the busiest Allied hospital in the Gulf War. Kathy survived 3 Scud attacks and a hospital unit softball game, and was on hand with camera when the special Topps cards arrived. Spirits were awfully good, she reports. Everybody loved the cards. They traded for the ones they wanted. Kathy even found a card she had shot, number 20, Pedro Guerrero, while on duty for Topps back home in Kansas City. Now, I find this to be a very special photo because I tried searching for more photos with troops and the Desert Shield cards, but I had no success. So there's not a lot of information, and never mind photos online about the troops with these cards. So I was very happy to find this photo in this magazine. Now, the second thing I found was this article here. And this is a two-page article from the Sports Card magazine, and this is from an issue of June 1996. Now, I don't have a physical copy, but I do have a link. So if anyone's really interested in reading this article, please get in touch with me and I can send you a link. Now, what's interesting about this article is that there's several facts that stated in this article that could confirm certain things and debunk certain myths about the set. The first thing is the pop count. It does mention that the intention was to ship 500 cases to the troops in the Middle East. So that works out to be around 6,800 ish cards per card. Okay, because in the past I've heard different numbers. Like some people claim that there were only 4,000 made, and some claim that there was as much as 10,000 made. But this article does confirm that there were about 6,800 ish number of cards made per card. Now, the second thing that's pretty interesting is the dates that was mentioned. It does say that Topps approached the Pentagon in October 1990 about this project, and the Pentagon approved for Topps to send out these special cards to the troops as long as that there was no strings attached. So basically, this was never a business deal, and for Topps, this was all sent out in gratis and only for appreciation of the people that served during the Gulf War. Now, the thing that was interesting though is the cards were only shipped out by February of 1991. Now, we do know that Operation Desert Storm ended in January 17th, 1991, and immediately Operation Desert Storm started. So, what I do believe is that by the time the cards were supposed to be shipped out to the soldiers in the Middle East, um, they were just too busy and they were just too focused with what was going on around the world. And they probably had the priority was just not there. And so a lot of the cars, and this was mentioned in this article, actually stayed behind in a military base in Myrtle Beach. And that actually, this part of um, the story was mentioned several times in different forms. And I think that along with this article, this can be proven to be true. So, but what we can kind of debunk is that, at least in my opinion, I've heard several stories about um, how people had burnt these cards when they were in the Middle East because of the cold uh, desert nights, and then they had to keep warm, or that they given out a lot of these cards to kids and or that they just toss these cards out while in the Middle East. Um, it just the following is just my opinion. I just think that while this story is kind of interesting on about how people had to burn the cards to keep warm, I doubt that really happened. I'm from Canada, where it can get quite cold, and I believe that if you were to keep warm, burning baseball cards isn't the best thing to burn because it wouldn't keep you warm for that long. Secondly, I think that if I'm sure not everyone that served were collectors or were interested in baseball cards, but I think that at that time, that was like at the hype of the junk wax era. There were probably a lot of collectors that served over in the Middle East. And if I wasn't that interested in these cards, I would first try to sell it or at least give them away to other people that were interested rather than toss them out. Now, the other story about troops giving these cards out to kids in the Middle East. Well, first of all, I don't think um, I may be wrong, but I don't think a lot of kids knew a lot about baseball in the Middle East, or were they interested in baseball in the Middle East? And so, once again, offering kids cards that they have no knowledge about or no interest about really serves no purpose. So, what I do believe is that not a lot did make it out to the Middle East, and it did end up, and it does mention this in the article. Majority of these cars that stay in Myrtle Beach base and were sold off to dealers and collectors at a very high premium. And I think it does mention at that time it was sold for about $90 a pack, which at that time was very expensive. I remember in 1991, a pack of Upper Deck was about $1. So another interesting thing about, that it does mention um, in this article is how Top spotted counterfeits being made in Ohio. I think a lot of people have heard about that story, and I think the majority of the really poorly made Desert Shield cards were made at that time. It does mention that the shields were oversized and the shapes were far from the authentic. Um, but quickly arrests were made, and but somehow, well, a lot of the cards made it out into the market, and which is some of the counterfeits we see today. Now, and finally, it does talk about how Topps really got nothing from this set, which is now very collectible today. But they did get something which was very priceless. And it does mention that although they didn't get any monetary reward or profit from these cards, they did get a letter from General Schwarzkopf on behalf of the troops thanking Topps for their gesture. And this letter is framed, or at least it was framed and hung in the office of Topps Company President Jay Landon of that time. This is in 1996. And obviously, Topps is now owned by someone else, so I'm not sure what they did with this letter, but I'm definitely, I would think that this letter is still around. Um, it would be nice to see if an actual copy of this letter. Um, Speaking of letters, before I go on to a third thing that I found, I just want to talk about this price list, which was based on the 1996 prices. Now, feel free to contact me once again if you want to check out this article. I'm not going to go through every single card, but it's interesting to see that in 1996 how the Chipper Jones was not listed in this uh, price list. Okay, so supposedly this price list is about majority of the players that were pretty popular. So at that time, Chipper Jones did not make this list, and now it's the most expensive card on the set. Now, the third thing I want to talk about is a letter from the Topps company, and this is for to the employees of that time in 1990. Now, it does say that everyone would get one sample card, um, thanks to their work in this project. And it was signed by, I can't make out the signature. If anyone knows who this is, that would be pretty cool, and please let me know. But basically, it's a letter of appreciation to the employees of that time. And I believe that these cards were rushed out, and a lot of people worked really hard to ensure these cards made it to the troops. So yeah, so this is basically what I found so far, and I would love to share more in the future. If you like um, what I've mentioned in this video today and want to hear more about the story behind these iconic cards, please like and subscribe, and also let me know what else you would like to know about these cards, and I'll try my best to find more information, more facts about these cards, and I will make more videos for you to watch in the future. Until then, I'll see you soon. Bye now.